Hi, everyone. My name is Nick. I'm joined by Phoebe and Valentina. We're all second-year medical students at the University of Rochester, and we're the chapter leads for the Rochester Medicine in Motion group. So we're really excited today to be joined by one of our really awesome faculty advisors, Dr. Stewart Mahler. Dr. Mahler is an internal medicine doctor at the University of Rochester, and he's also a real life ninja. And we're really happy and excited to get the chance to actually speak with him tonight. So Dr. Mahler, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for setting this up, guys. This is an awesome kind of opportunity to get to hang out with you guys again. I know it's you guys are a fun group, so it's been awesome getting to know you guys.
Definitely. And we've had some great experiences already jumping through the ninja gym. So if we're just going to jump right into our first question for you, we're wondering what motivated you to pursue a career in medicine?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny story. So like as a high schooler, I was like, oh my God, I have no idea what I want to do now. I thought I wanted to be a dentist for most of my childhood. But it kind of snowballed from there. I knew I wanted to do something with the human body and something to do with patients and helping people. And it sort of evolved from there. And then again, you guys know being in medical school and trying to figure out what do I want to do when I'm an actual doctor. I feel like that question was always running through my mind and changing every single rotation I would do. I'd be like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do this. And that's the cool thing about medicine in general is you can just suck in like all this information, and you can really do whatever you want to do, which is awesome. I mean, it's such a cool career. You're really not tied down to one single thing. I mean, you kind of diverge a little bit here and there, but ultimately, it's such a cool profession because you can make it what you want it to be. So that's what kind of drew me into medicine, I think, more and more.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that. The next question we had was how and why did you become involved in the American Ninja Warrior scene, and also when?
Yeah. So I'd always watched the show, both like the original kind of Sasuke version, and then when it came over to the U.S., I would watch kind of tidbits here and there, and it was always one of those things where I was like, these guys are awesome. Like watching them do this, I was like, this is so cool. I wish I could do this, but like never really thinking that I could actually do any of those things that they were doing. After my wife and I were married and had our first son, Caden, who's now 9. We were looking for a breakdance instructor to try to help him like learn how to breakdance because we thought we were like the coolest parents ever. But I was like, I can't teach him. I don't know anything in breakdance. So we like literally called a bunch of people trying to find somebody in the area and found this guy. His name's Steve. We call him Panda Steve. He's got a really big panda tattoo on his arm. He's an awesome guy. But he was working out of the Warrior Factory at the time. So we signed Caden up and took him to the gym. And as we were walking into the gym, I had this realization. I was like, what is this place? You saw the warped wall as you walked in. I was like, oh my God, I know what this is, but like I've never heard of this place being here in Rochester. And so immediately I realized like I have to come back for this. So my son did his breakdance lesson, and then I came back the next day, I think, and just got to play around for like one of their open gyms. And it was one of those feelings where like I couldn't do like anything really, like being just feeling so like weak that first time when you do it. You're just like, how do people do this? I don't understand. um and that was probably about, I want to say that was 3 years ago, when we started doing that, because I've applied to the show now three different times. They convinced me my first year training to make a video and apply. I was like, there's no way like I'm going to get on. This is crazy. Um, and then it snowballed from there. I kind of became addicted to it. It's just such a fun experience, and it really has been the first time I've exercised consistently in most of my life, like beyond high school, doing like sports and stuff like that in high school, because it is this kind of like it's this feedback loop of I can't do something, I want to be able to do something, and so how do I get to that point? And it's sort of building that goal of this is what I want to be able to do, and so how do I get there? And it's that in and of itself I think has been really awesome in helping me develop in both different aspects of my life, which has been cool. um, so that's how I kind of got into it, and it's really built from there. I mean, my kids all do it now. My wife is now training. which has just become a family kind of affair, which makes it even easier to continue to do it because we're all in it together, and just being able to hang out with each other as a family and do this kind of thing is a lot of fun.
That's amazing. So our next question is, and I think you already touched on this a little bit, what are some of the connections that you've been able to draw between your career as a physician and passion for ninja training?
Yeah, and I think definitely the obstacle bit. So I mean, being able to overcome like really difficult things, and again, that very beginning when you start out. And so I sort of harken it back to medical school where you guys are in your training. You're just like, how am I going to get to point B, right? I'm here at the beginning. How do I get to where I want to be? And it really has come down to, again, you kind of set your priorities and you set your goals, and then you kind of work through them, right? You're part of this journey is actually what happens along the way. And I kind of realized, like, I had set a goal when I started training ninja that I wanted to compete, right? So not necessarily on the show, but I wanted to just compete. I wanted to do some of the local competitions that they had. So that was my first goal, was to be able to do that. And so then you almost had to take a step back and say, well, how do I get to that goal, right? I could barely hang on a ring for more than a few seconds. So how do I get to that goal, right? And then a lot of that was leaning on the coaches and the people around me. So my factory family, as I call them, it's a sort of great group of guys and girls that are just, they're there to support you. And so they literally told me, they're like, you got to go home and train this specific thing, right? So do this once a day for this many times, and by the time you come back, you'll be able to hang on the ring for more than 10 seconds, right? And these little incremental steps each week, I'd come back and I'd be a little bit stronger, a little bit stronger. I'd try a new obstacle that I couldn't do, like the salmon ladder. That was one I remember really well. As soon as I got there, I was like, I want to do this obstacle so bad. And you get on there and you just like can't even like budge the thing. But then again, they tell you that the coaches came in, they're like, this is what you got to do to get yourself there. So go home and put this work in. And so going back to medicine, again, having mentors, having your teachers, you just ask them, like, how do I get to where I want to go? And asking those questions early and often, I think, is so important, because it, again, your career idea of what you want to do and your passions will change on a near daily basis, it seems. But continuing to ask the question is what helps you figure out, well, how do I actually get there? And it's like small baby steps, right? So I've been training for 3 years now, and I feel like I've definitely come a long way, but it can feel daunting looking at somebody at the very beginning to some of these pro like ninjas at the very end. You're like, how did they get there? And it really was small little changes that they made, commitments that they made to doing things. That's why I idolize some of these guys, because they've just put their mind to something and they've just put in the work day in, day out. And the same with my mentors in medicine. I'm like, how did you get to where you are, right? Like the Dr. Gracie's and the Dr. Berlians, those are some of my biggest advisors that I just love them because they share how they got there, right? They share the advice, and they're not withholding any of that information. They're very forthcoming with it because they want you to succeed as well. So I think that's really, really important, is finding a group of people that support you and help move you forward. But also finding mentors, people that have gone through it, that can give you some of those little tips and advice to move you forward slowly. And then feeling okay again when you fail at some things, because that inevitably is going to happen. I think that's one of the things I talked about a lot in some of my videos, is failure, and how do we deal with that, and how do we use that kind of experience to push us forward. And I think some of my biggest changes that have happened in my career have come from a failure, like some patient that I lost, or something that I missed, right? You take those experiences to heart, and being able to move past them and get better from them, right? You study a little bit harder about that issue. You try to figure out, how do I help the next person that I see with this, and not miss something. That directly parallels with ninja, and just how do I do this better next time. I really have been thinking about that a lot more, sort of how has this changed my mentality, and it really has helped me be okay with like not knowing how to do something or not knowing the answer right away, and being okay with that. Like, I don't know the answer. Like, I'll have a resident ask me and they're like, I don't know the answer. I'll be honest with you. Let's go figure it out together. Right. And that's what happens all the time at the gym when I'm working out. Like, I don't know how to do this. One of the coaches will come along and be like, let's go figure it out. Let's go do it. We'll practice it together. Um, so I think being able to find that, and whatever you're doing, it doesn't have to be ninja. Any sort of physical activity or mental activity, having somebody that's been through it and has gone through it that can help you, it makes it so much easier. It kind of gives you that clinical experience without, necessarily having to do the failure yourself. Although I think that's one of your best kind of teachers is experience itself. When you experience it and have a failure yourself, I think that's a really important experience. So a lot of failures pushed me to where I am today, and it will continue to push me forward, I think. So
That's so awesome. Thank you. It's really cool to hear the parallels between your ninja training and your career in medicine and the obstacles that you overcome in that way. So, on a related note, we were wondering if you could share some advice that you might have for medical trainees that are pursuing outside passions, prioritizing wellness, and how to avoid burnout throughout training and pursuing our careers.
yeah, that's kind of a moving target. It's such a hard question that everyone's trying to answer, right, on an individual basis. And I think my biggest thing has been trying to figure out what my priorities are, and really like name them. I think that's something that's really important when you're going through your training, is what are the things that I value as kind of my core of who I am as a person. And for me personally, that's my family, is a huge priority to me. And so what are the things that I can do to help build my relationship with my family, and being able to craft sort of myself around that priority. I've been fortunate, as I mentioned before, just to, again, my family does share a lot of my passions, especially when it comes to ninja. And so we've sort of morphed one of our priorities, which is physical fitness, into a family building activity as well, which has been really nice. And again, there are ways you can do that with families, with friends. Again, surrounding yourself by people that are like-minded and like to do physical activities. Again, the example of Medicine in Motion, right? You guys have found each other and have formed this group of awesome people that all like to do things, and you like to experience new things. I think that's something that's really cool too, is being comfortable going and doing something that you've never done before. It takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of self-confidence, again, to be like, I'm going to try this. I may not be good at it, but I'm going to give it a shot and see how it goes. That's important to build that and foster that. And having a good group of people that you're reaching out to and connecting with, and is really important. And the nice thing about it too, is you guys are connected through physical fitness, but also in your shared experience with medical school. And so me being able to experience my physical wellness with some of the other people that I work with, I've had residents that have come with me to the factory as well, and being able to share that experience with them and share kind of what I've learned outside of the office is another cool experience. So I think priorities is really big in figuring out what they are. And then I think the balance piece of it, right, is it's not this thing that you're gonna find the perfect balance and you're gonna stay there. It's always sort of shifting back and forth. You're gonna balance the things that come on, new tasks, new priorities that you may pick up along the way. People that don't have a family now may get a family later through medical school, like those types of things. And so being okay with kind of being off balance a little bit, but knowing how to recenter yourself, I think is really important. And I think a support group is what really helps recenter you, having those people that can be like, hey, let's check in. How are you guys doing? How can we kind of get you back to the middle here? Because again, we're not in this solo. Like, we're all kind of going through this together, and we've all had some shared experience with this. So I think that's probably one of the most important things I can share, is just having people to do it with, and be okay leaning on people.
Thank you so much for that response. I think anyone really in the medicine or healthcare worlds can really take something out of that. So we really appreciate that. And that was our last question. So again, we really wanted to just say thank you so much, Dr. Mahler, for taking the time to speak with us and Medicine in Motion about your experience and, you know, your incredible ninja skills. I think, you know, as students at U of R, I feel very lucky to have you as an advisor and someone that we can look up to and see that you can do incredible things physically, mentally, as a physician. So we're really looking forward to supporting you out on the show, and just wanted to say good luck and thank you again for speaking with us today.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure. You guys are awesome. I can't tell you how excited I was when I got the email from you guys asking to be a faculty advisor. I was like, yeah, sign me up. That's awesome. So it's awesome from my perspective too that you guys asked me. So I really appreciate it. It's been a really cool opportunity, and it's something that I don't know, it's sort of given me an additional thing to really advocate for. That's something that I hadn't really thought of before. How can I use what I do in my own personal life to help other people, right? I mean, I do this all the time in at work, right? I'm teaching residents and that kind of stuff, but I feel like being able to share my personal life has been really fulfilling. So I appreciate the opportunity to do that with you guys.